Hello, and we're back for another exciting episode with Anthony, and he's going to let us know what his fitness journey is and what he's been doing post-show and how he was when he competed in this upcoming shows, because he just did a few shows. And how many shows did you end up doing coming up? Recently did a
I
few,
did.
didn't you?
First of all, thanks for having me.
All right.
It's a pleasure to be here, tell my story. I did three shows pretty much back to back, baptism of fire. So it was my first time, and we did the New South Wales IFBB title, and then we backed it up a couple of weeks later. We went to the Nationals, and then last minute, a couple of days before the NABBA New South Wales titles, I decided to jump in that. I mean, the condition was there, so I thought, let's give it a crack. So it was three back to back. Torture.
What
But it
did you
was good.
find? What did you find going from one show to the other? Like, this is the first time, so how was that? Like, was it difficult to peak for each of these shows, or was it just you just nailed it in and just repeated the same process and you're okay?
It was a different approach each time. I was lucky. Well, to be honest with you, it all started. I wasn't meant to compete. I always just the journey from like 2, 3 years ago was. I'll tell that in a sec, but
Yeah,
just wanted to get ripped right for summer. And I mean, my coach Luke Shembry, I've been with him for nearly 2.5, 3 years,
yeah,
and it was always just about getting fit, getting lean. I mean, I used to cycle a lot, long distance cycling, and always running, and just. I wasn't trying to ever get big. I was never trying to be a bodybuilder or anything like that. It was just all
mm,
about fitness, lifestyle, just changing the mindset. And, the byproduct of that was a good physique. So the plan was last year, I did a mini bulk. I had an injury. I tore my labrum and my bicep tendon.
doesn't
Start of the
feel right.
bulk last year.
Takes it
Yeah.
for ages. It still would probably feel niggly too. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's it's just coming back now because I'm starting to go into a bit of an off season now, and I'm starting to push a bit heavier, but I can feel it
yes.
kind of flaring up. The elbows cooked, the shoulders cooked, so I've got to be very careful. But yeah, I was just trying to get lean for summer, and I started the cut in August. So it was a very, very long prep. It was like 9 months of prepping. So, and I got to Christmas and I got pretty bloody lean. And I was like, I think I did a DEXA scan just before Christmas Day, and I was like 4%.
Yeah,
I gave my wife's always never really paid attention to it because it's become normal. She's like, she
mm,
looked at me one day and she was like, "Man, you look good." Like, and
mm.
she's never really like paid attention and given me a compliment. It meant a lot. She's like, "You should compete." And I said, "Nah, I've never wanted to compete. I don't know anything about bodybuilding. Like, yeah, I go to the gym a lot, and yeah, I'm always trying to be lean, but." She's like, no, like you look really, really good. You should compete. And then
Yeah,
Luke got
nice.
in my ear and he's like, man, you should give it a crack. Little did I know that it was only the beginning of torture. Even starting at like 4%, like to push down and get that last few kilos of fat off is bloody hard, man.
Yeah.
So that was Christmas. And then that was about 14 weeks out of New South Wales. And
Yep.
we just pushed and pushed and pushed. And just when you think you can't get any leaner, you find another meaning of lean. So, and you
And
surprise yourself.
another meaning of hunger at the same time. You just got to
Yeah, I mean, the
ignore it,
hunger
or
part.
was it too bad for you?
No, the hunger part, because I was so dialed in for so long and I've always kind of been in a deficit. Like I'm used to the nutrition part's easy.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's the easiest part. Yeah, as we got a bit closer, maybe 2, 3 weeks out, and you really pull the calories back, it did hurt.
Mm.
But for me, like peaking for New South Wales wasn't that hard. It was, I mean, the fatigue is the hardest part, like obviously due to sleep getting disrupted and trying to, work a normal job. I mean, I work 14, 15 hours a day, trying to be a
It's a
dad,
lot.
trying to squeeze 2 hours of cardio in a day, morning and night, plus gym. Like that was the hard part, like
Yeah.
really trying to stay awake and alive. Getting to the gym half
Did,
asleep.
did you find as you got leaner, like I found the same thing, my sleep patterns would just be constantly broken no matter what I did. Even if I went early, I just would wake up 2 or 3 times during the night.
2 or 3, that's normal for me, mate. I was lucky to get
It's a
three
more.
hours sleep at night, right?
Oh no.
And
Yeah.
that was like, man, trying to you get up and you're tired, you do your cardio, you're okay after that. And then I'm driving to work. There was times where I fell asleep driving to work at 7 a.m. Like I fell
Good.
asleep driving and I was like, man, this is not good. I'll
Yeah.
be sitting in a meeting with multiple people and I'll just be like trying my hardest to stay awake. No amount of coffee would work. No amount of, Valium or anything would get me to sleep. Um, just,
Yeah.
man, that's probably the hardest part, the sleep and the
That would have
fatigue
been hard.
management.
Yeah, I'd never had it like that. Like it says maybe 3 or 4 times I wake up a little bit and straight back to sleep. Like just restless. Never like
You're one
awake,
of those
awake.
lucky ones.
Yeah.
You're one of those lucky ones that could fall asleep mid-bender. Sounds to me that's what type of guy you are.
Maybe. The so when you transitioned between both shows, was there a difference between both or they were very similar how they were run and stuff?
No, they were completely different, to be honest with you. I mean, I like both series, right? Like
Yeah.
they've all got their own little, things that are special about them. But NABBA was a bit more chill.
Yeah.
You're there, you're with the organizers a lot. They check in with you a lot more. I mean, it's a little bit more intimate, a little bit more like a family vibe,
Okay.
which was pretty cool, man. Like they really, really know everything about all their athletes and make you feel comfortable. And it is, I wouldn't say, I mean, it's obviously a little bit smaller scale, but I think
Mm.
it's a good thing. A little bit more organized, to be honest with you. A bit more time, a little bit more notice. The backstage was pretty cool. Like it was a little bit more chill out there. We're all just kind of having a laugh and
Yeah.
geeing each other up. And yeah, you get to know all the other athletes and they kind of feel the same vibe. So it was definitely a different experience. I loaded up like because there was no weight cap for classic, so I came in with
Yeah.
a completely different mindset. Like I ate as much as I could 3-4 days before. I
Because you
put
would
on
have
about
had to
7 kilos.
you would have had to get in the weight cut further when you went to the IFBB. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
well,
that
that's
would
the
have,
thing.
yeah.
We originally thought at one point that I wasn't going to make the cap coming into New South Wales, and
Mm.
then man, as I got more conditioned, I actually came in about 5 or 6 kilos under cap for New South Wales.
Oh, really? So you
And
had
then,
room.
yeah,
Yeah.
my cap was 108.4. And I think I woke up the morning of the show like 102.6 or something like that. And I was just like, shit, I'd never seen a 102 before. And I'm like, look, I can't even walk. Like,
I,
I think we're
oh,
kind of trying to save it for nationals.
yeah.
And it was uncharted territory. So, um, yeah, it was I think the food and having a bit more energy on board changed it for me as well going into NABBA. I mean, it was almost 8 kilos between New South Wales and
You would have
in
felt
two or
better
three
then.
weeks.
Like if I wanted to do like the same division in that, I think I've got to pump down all the way down to like 90, 92. I don't think I'll get down to 92. I
What
don't
do you
think
weigh
I'll have
now?
me. I'm about 114 kilo.
Wow.
So
That's what I
like,
weigh now.
hey, what
I'm
was it?
115 now.
Yeah, I'm 114. But like it says, I still got a bit of body fat. I'm probably sitting at like 13, 12% or something though. So I've got a bit more
Yeah.
to come off. But I don't think
Yeah.
I'd get that lean. I don't think. Just because of my frame.
Why not?
I don't think
Anyone,
I'd
you
suck
could
too
do it.
much muscle. It would suck too much muscle
Yeah.
off me. So I'd rather, if that was the case and I had that 5 kilos of muscle, I'd rather keep that and just go against
What
everyone else
class do you
together.
do?
Me, I haven't decided what I'm going to do, but like I said, I probably just do open. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
Well,
We'll see.
that's
See on
what
the
happened.
waist. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. It's like I went into obviously classic physique is my category, right? All the posing I'd ever done and everything we planned for it was for classic, right? So, and then I did classic first timers and novice at New South Wales. I think I placed fourth and sixth respectively,
Nice.
or fifth and sixth. And then I went into nationals, same kind of categories, novice, first time, whatever you want to call it, first timers and then novice. And man, when we got there, those boys are big boys. Like they look like open bodybuilders. And I was like, yeah,
It's the structure of how wide they are too, if you get what I mean. Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, man. I was blown away. Like to go, and New South Wales was a strong lineup too, man. Like it was, from what I heard, because I'd never been to one, everyone was like, man, like that's a pretty solid lineup this year. And then you go to nationals and it's like 10 times better again. I'm like, man, like this is full on. I was pretty conditioned, right? And then you
Yeah.
look at those boys, they're conditioned and they're big. And I'm like, man, this is definitely something I need to improve on my width and my back thickness and my,
How many years did you spend? Because you said you had the sports background, more of like just getting fit and cycling and just worrying about fitness. So then technically you've only dedicated a small amount of time to that bodybuilding style of training at the moment. Then like is that a couple of
Yeah,
years or
well, my
how long was that
yeah,
then?
my journey was like I've always been into sports, but I'm not like I trained weights, obviously, as we all did coming out of school and just hanging out at the gyms and just whatever, just lifting. And I never really did too many peds back then. I was probably 1.15 years ago. I did a little bit and I got pretty big, but it was just like water and eating, and it wasn't really structured training or nutrition. We
Food
all
speak.
just Yeah, we all just got big and bloated and water and we thought we were cool. And then I stopped from like 22 till I started, which was probably 33, 34. And in that time, I was always doing motor racing. Like I'm a rev head. I do a lot of drag racing. I did a lot of superbike racing. So I got pretty fit for superbike racing. I was doing a lot of cycling. I stopped that maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And I was racing nationally. And then I stopped everything and I went down a bit of a shitty path of depression and anxiety and getting on stuff, and I was almost bankrupt, and we had kids coming, and yeah, it was pretty bad, and I fell down this spiral of darkness, and I got really overweight. I got to like 132 kilos, 31 kilos, and I
Depression
was
set in.
depressed, man. I wasn't getting out of bed. I was blaming the world for all my problems and hating on all my mates, and why me, and the usual crap.
Yeah. Then obviously
Comparing
you
myself
turned
to
around.
people.
Obviously then you turned around and you just owned it, and then you just bridges above it, and you've done so well so far, and everything's working great. So that's
Well,
awesome.
yeah, man, the journey was pretty hard. I had to, it took a few attempts to get out of it. And I was always like waiting for that saving grace. The people that buy lottery tickets, like, is this going to happen this time?
Save
You
yourself.
know, everything will be all right. Everything will be all right.
Save
There's always,
yourselves.
yeah, I had to save myself, man.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized at one point, like, shit, no one's going to do this for me. Hey, like, I'm a dad, my husband, and I need to pull myself out of this for myself and for my family. And there was points in the morning where I'd just get up at like 2 in the morning and just go sit in the park, depressed, man. I'm like, shit, what am I going to do? I got no money. I got a family. I had to sell the couch under my freaking ass,
Yeah.
to keep the family going. Sold all my cars, sold everything, and I was literally at rock bottom. And I think you need to get to rock bottom to have that moment to realize and just pull yourself out of it. And I'm glad that happened. And then the story goes, like I have my old push bike. It was cost me like 3 grand, maybe 15 years ago, right? This carbon fiber thing. And I used to use it
Really
for,
like.
for motorbike racing. And I always had it sitting there in the garage, and I'd never wanted to throw it away because it was that omen. It was that thing that I would walk past and it would remind me of who I used to be. And then I just kept walking past it, and I don't know, I walked past it in one of my shitty moments. And I'm like, man, this thing's calling me, eh? So I said to myself, it was like October 2022, I think it was. It's before I went back to Luke.
Hmm.
Um, I jumped on it and I said, I'm going to give this a crack. I want to get fit again. I need to lose this weight, and I'm sure the rest will follow. Mate, I was only doing like 2Ks and I was passing out. And I just kept trying. There was times where I shit you not, my wife would have to pick me up from the servo down the road because I was going hypo. And I'd be
No.
throwing up at the servo. But the pain that it was giving me, I started to get addicted to that pain, man. Like of pushing myself
Well,
into
yeah, I
the
was about to
dark
say
zone, the
constantly
red zone.
pushing yourself, then get your next goal. That would have started building milestones for you. So one goal would have turned into the
100%.
next. Mm.
100%. And what I said to myself was, and I was in my own head a lot, like a lot. I was talking to myself a lot. I was beating myself up. And I'm very hard on myself. I still am with everything I do, right? So, and I think you need that bit of self accountability and discipline. So
Sometimes it
I'd
can
say,
be a detrimental though to ourselves. We do it sometimes the same as like when we'll hear a compliment or whatever. Because we're shooting so far, we never actually get where we want to get because we've got the next
yes,
goal lined up. So sometimes it's hard, and that's what I've had to realize as well. We've got to actually pull back a little bit, go actually realize what you have done as well. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
just hard to take that because I do the same thing. You'll fob it off. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know what I
True,
mean?
you're right.
Yeah,
And you know where
that's
this,
yeah.
this actually plays against you in a comp rep. And I was thinking about this yesterday, right? Somebody reached out to me on Insta and they're like, any advice, please, blah, 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 blah. And I was thinking to myself, what's the one bit of advice or one thing that I'm aware of now, and it's exactly that. Because I have that mindset, and you probably do too, and a lot of bodybuilders would, right? A lot of people that, you know, have pushed themselves into anything in sport would have this kind of, would have been through this, is like overworking.
Mm.
Because you're so hard on yourself, you actually got to know when to pull up and say, shit, I've actually overdone it here. Because you can go down, you can go the other way, right? So, and I did that a few times in the prep where I was so scared of not doing enough that I was doing too much, and I was burning myself out or digging myself a bigger hole, where Luke would have to pull me up and he's like, dude, slow the fuck down, sit, relax,
That's when
rest.
a coach helps, because, like I said, you'll push it too hard, like I said. But then, dependent, that becomes difficult. I do understand what you said, because I do that to myself. Like, as an example, say like your normal client, you wouldn't take more away from him, but because it's you, like, no, I'm just going to take more anyway, and then it's a
Well, that's the
detrimental to
thing, yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
That's the thing, like when your coach knows you, right? Because a lot of people would whinge, right? Like, oh, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. I was the opposite. I was like, push me harder. And he was like,
Don't need to.
shit, like, is this guy for real? But like I said, it's not to be here. It's not a good thing all the time, because I don't have that gauge of if I'm going. I haven't done a prep before, so I don't know what too much is.
Yeah.
And fatigue management and recovery is just as important as training or pushing. So knowing how to find that happy medium and listening to the body is something I've really learned now. Like, I think I've got a good gauge of, and I'm not 100% with it, because I always want to do more. And my sister-in-law's going through a prep now as well, and she's just like, pull me up if you're going. I said, you need to figure it out for yourself to start with, because you're going to lie to yourself otherwise, man. Like, if you can push and you feel like you're okay, push. But if you just genuinely feel like shit, it's just have a day off. You know what I mean? You're not going to put on your fat. You'll probably come back stronger the next day, right? So
the days off help, but you still got to have that structure with your nutrition. You make one wrong day, you can technically, ruin a week, depending on what type of nutrition you're doing. If you were doing like carb cycling or something, you could have that cycled in there, so it doesn't matter. If you had your highs, your lows.
yeah,
I usually prefer that style, but I found most coaches, like I said, that's why I end up working by myself, and I just do it myself, because every coach I've ever worked with in the past, plus I've got the 22 years of experience doing it as well, if you know what I mean. So,
you
but
know your body.
yeah, exactly. I know myself better. If I work with them, they'll give me a flat nutrition, usually majority of the time, and they won't give me a carb cycle, because the difference is it's like 3 nutritions in one, if you get what I
Yeah.
mean. It just works better for my body, especially if you want to bring up like a lag in muscle group as an example, and you don't want to gain too much. Say as an example, you've got like something that's lagging, you're okay, oh, I know I've got to work on this, or you got your feedback from your judge, you're like, I've got to work on this, work on that. If you jump it in there and you'll do like your 2 high days on your second high day, so you're full of glycogen and your muscles are full, then you use
Body
that.
part. Yeah.
Yeah, then you train, then drop that body part in. With one day, it becomes harder. You'd have to train it right later in the evening. Otherwise, it's not as effective. But anyway, sorry for my
No,
long-winded answer. Yeah.
we just had high days and low days. Like non-training, we'd pull the carbs back by 100 grams, or
Nice.
whatever it was, and the high days were the high days. So it was just, yeah, that's what the body liked. I needed a lot of food in my prep, to be honest with you. Like, I was in the fours most of the
Thousands.
time. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
calories, and
You're up high. Yeah.
and I was just like a furnace, man. Like, I was burning weight, like in the mid fours at one point, and then we pulled it
Nice.
back down to low threes, and that
It
was
slowed
death.
down.
Like,
And did it slow
I
down too?
slowed down, but it
Yeah.
was death too, man. Like, I
Yeah.
think I
That's what
started
I
burning a
found.
bit of muscle.
That's what I found as
So
well.
I was cruising at one point at like 4,300 calories, and I was freaking hungry, man. Like, so the body just naturally. I mean, I think the Dexter said there was like 99 kilos of lean tissue, so there was quite a bit of tissue there that we had to keep alive, right?
Mm.
So, but the output was really high. So, I guess there's a few different ways of approaching it, right? Like, you
Yeah.
either want to do less output, less food, or more output, more food. And I
Yeah,
always liked
100%.
more output, more food. It's just the way I just got ants in my pants, right? So I
You,
can't
you
sit
got
there and
that
pull the
pressure on
calories.
yourself. That's why. So you
Yeah,
just do it because it
100%.
needs to be done. Yeah. Where me,
But
I'm a little bit opposite. Like I got pressure on myself, but I will
it's too
deliberately
cold
pull it
outside.
back.
That's why for you.
No, I got treadmill. It's all good. I got treadmill.
I can't do a treadmill, man.
Oh,
I
you can't?
cannot do
I
nah.
prefer a treadmill. I hate going
Nah,
outside.
man.
Mine, you,
Nah.
my hut's like this. I've got hills like this on each side of me that go like that. So
Yeah.
they're a
No,
bit
I'm not. I
nasty.
can't. I'm not one of those guys that sits there on the treadmill or the stepper. There's no friggin' way. I'll be on the push bike outside, or
Cheers, thank you.
I'll be walking. Like I think like the last 8, 9 weeks, I ditched all high forms of cardio, and it was literally just steps. I'd do like
That would have been
22,
brutal.
23,000 steps a day. Yeah.
Did you ease into
When
that, or did you just go like bang straight away
No,
with
well,
the
what
higher
happened
amount?
was I was cycling like in the garage or on the street.
Oh, yeah.
That was my cardio. And then I was doing steps. I was doing like 12, 13,000 steps plus maybe half an hour, 40 minutes of cycling, push bike, about 130 BPM. And got to the point where I was that lean that I had nothing left, man. Like I could not stay awake during the day. And I was like, Luke, I got to work. Like this is not, I've got a job. I can't sit there and sleep through during the day. And I'll be falling asleep during meetings. And it got dangerous, man. Like falling asleep driving to work. And he's like, right, let's pull that out. You actually don't need it anymore, but let's just up the steps. And it was more manageable. There were a couple of moments where I'd do steps and I'd run and I'd fucking regret it because I'd be like, shit, like now I can't. I
Different
just took
energy
that last,
system. It's a different energy system, and you're burning up them carbs, and you don't need to.
yeah,
You want
man.
to, you want to just breathe it out. Just relax, and yeah.
I figured it out quick, smart. I was like, nah, I got to stop.
Yeah,
This is too much. Just stick to steps.
stop that. If your carbs were maybe a lot higher, you'd get away with that. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
then you get watery, and then you get, you
you're
know what I
true.
mean? Like you're
True.
always battling water retention, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but back to the transformation, man. Like, I
Yeah.
got to the point where I got through that first barrier, right? Where I was like, all right, I wasn't passing out at the servo anymore. That's step one. Step two was I'd go and pick the biggest hills in the national park. Like I live near the national park
Mm.
down in the south,
Yeah. I see you
and
got them big
I,
ones. Yeah.
yeah, man, we got the big ones.
Was
And
it a
I
K
told
and a half
myself,
or something, isn't it? That big one.
yeah, man,
Yeah.
4K, some of them
Yeah.
of like that,
Yeah.
5%, 4%. Um, and I said to myself, like, if you can't get over that friggin' hill, how the hell are you going to get over anything in life? Like, push yourself. And man, I once, twice, 3 times pass out halfway up, and then, but I love the feeling of getting to that red zone and like passing out. Weirdly enough, right? That pain. And then I got to the point where I got over the hill and I was like, shit, I just did that. Next hill, next hill. Before I knew it, I was doing 100K rides, 150K rides. And the feeling of pulling myself through it, knowing that I did it myself, was like a snowball effect, right? So, and then I started to apply that to everything in life, my finances, my wife, my kids, my training. And then I think 9 months in, I said, shit, let's go back to the gym. So I jumped back in the gym and here we are. So
Did you take the same approach with your training? Did you get to that point where you push a bit too hard? Because that can be a detriment too. I do a similar thing, like say you'll feel something tweak a little bit, and I just push past it, and then I wonder why it rips. I know why it ripped because I felt it was like not right. And I still just pushed anyway. Do you know what I mean? So
I'm
that's
conscious of that now, eh? Like it
yeah,
happened to me yesterday in the gym, to be honest with you, where
yeah.
I was training shoulders and I was like, shit, that didn't feel right.
Mm,
So I stopped. Whereas before I
that's
would push
good.
past it.
You got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've learned that in the prep in the last
yeah,
6 weeks of prep when
mm,
you're dehydrated and you're on Winnie and stuff like that, and you're like, yeah, all right, this is dangerous now. You kind of learn quick smart about your body. Like it's very easy to get injured. So that's definitely something I'm aware of now. But yeah, with the training, getting through the being able to recover is something I'm still trying to learn. Not pushing too
So you
past the
don't
point where you
like to
can't
have the
recover.
day off then? So like is it just to the point you will just have to do cardio, you just can't leave and do nothing for that day?
Yeah,
Is that how bad it gets?
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
At least steps. Whereas
yeah.
before maybe 6 months ago, I was still cycling a lot, and Luke would be like, I'd be on a low day and I'd be like still doing an hour of cardio, and Luke's like, "Shit, what are you doing, mate? Like it's meant to be a rest day." But I don't know. It's a lifestyle, man. The bodybuilding part comes second for me. I enjoy being out and about, running, walking, cycling. So I'm not going to stop doing that.
The counter it, he probably gave you a bit more calories on your high day then.
So what's that?
He probably gave you a bit more calories on your high day to counter
Yeah, he did. He did. He did.
it. Yeah,
He did.
yeah,
I don't know. Let's see what this bulk shows, man.
yeah.
Let's see what kind of
What
food
are
we
you
need
bringing
to.
up? Because you would have got feedback from judges. What are you deciding to And was the feedback, there we go, that's a good question. Was the feedback different from both places?
This is a very interesting topic, right?
Mm.
So I'm not sure if I've told you what happened, but I went into IFBB. As I said to you, we went for condition. We knew the size wasn't going to be there. I'd only just got it into training, right? What's it been, 2 years since I've really given it a crack?
Condition which shows.
Yeah, and Luke's like, right, well, let's play to your strengths, your conditions. He goes, you've got a good set of wheels on you, so let's show the wheels. My back, obviously, it takes years and years and years to grow a big, thick back. And genetically, I'm not a big, like my back's just not, I'm a very tall, wide guy. So I've got a big frame to fill out. So it's just genuinely going to take me a few years, right?
Yeah.
And with a very small off season with an injury as well, it was never going to be great. But man, if I show you the photos of where we started with my back 9 months, 12 months ago to now, even I flipped out when I lost the body fat. I was like, shit, how did we grow back with an injury? But the feedback, so we went in, we chased condition, we nailed that. The feedback from IFBB was the condition was good. Obviously, my posing wasn't that great because being new to it, even though I did 3 months solid of every single day. But we learned.
Did you sorry to interrupt, did you spend, what was the time schedule on posing? So when you would do it, what were you doing? Like
I was
half
doing
an hour,
1
15
hour
minutes?
every Saturday. Yeah, every Saturday I would do a solid hour session with Charlie Duca.
That's long. That's a
Yeah,
long
man.
trip. I would have been cramping and everything. I don't usually even pose that long. I'd have been
It was
cramping.
good, man. It was good. From where we started to where we finished, it was unbelievable. So I thank him a lot for that. But I was trying to do 10 to 15 minutes almost every day after training, if I had the time.
Yeah.
Not every single day, but enough until I learnt the actual mandatory poses, and then we just started to finesse it and stuff like that. But the posing fitness was definitely something we had to improve on. But I think we got there in the end. And I think from all the cycling and that, I was genuinely have a good base fitness.
And the more you do it, the easier it will get to. It's just
100%.
weird to get into them. Like some of them struggle to get in this because of movements, if you know what I mean.
I'm not a very flexible guy. Yeah, especially classic.
Yeah,
Especially
you've got to do more of them, like, what is these ones? I don't even know how to do it.
I'm pretty unco. I'm not very coordinated.
What was your for the classic? What was your favorite that you'd like to do?
We changed it at the end. To be honest with you. My favorite classic pose was at the end. It was that statue pose, right?
Oh, yeah.
Where you twist,
yeah,
into the
Arnie tilt, yeah, nice.
It took me forever to friggin' try and get that twist, but I still haven't nailed it. But it's something I'm conscious of now, so I'll probably start 6 months out next time and just really work on it. But the judges' feedback, back to that question, obviously width. They were telling me like you need more thickness on the back. They said the condition was good and just general overall size, filling out the frame, which was what we thought anyway, right? And then obviously the posing. Going into NABBA, this is interesting what happened. So because I knew there was no weight cap, I was like, shit, I'm going to load up. Like,
it would have filled out more.
I was like I said to you, my stage weight at nationals was 104, so it was still 4.5, 5 kilos under cap. And then I'm like, right, I know I've got a lot to fill out here. Let's see how much I can fill out before I spill. And I depleted myself the week of NABBA, and I had a bit of a blowout after nationals. So it took about 4 days for it to pass, the water retention. And I was just like, shit, I don't think I'm going to I knew NABBA was coming. I was like, I'm not entered, whatever. If this water passes, it passes. If it doesn't, I won't enter. And by Thursday, Wednesday, it kind of gone with no diuretics or anything like that. And I'm like, fuck, I might have a chance here, right? So then I started loading up, and I think we were doing we undercooked nationals. I think I was only on 8 or 9 grams per kilo of carbs, and I'm like, stuff this, I'm sending it. So I did 13 grams a kilo, which is still not that much, but I'd never done it, right? And I put on 6 kilos. I think my stage weight was 110 for national, for NABBA. And I went in with the same size waist, mind you, the waist hadn't even grown a millimeter. So I went in pretty good, thinking that it was going to be okay for NABBA. And then as soon as I did the first round, the head judge, I didn't place. I was like, I'm not being cocky, but I'm looking around. I'm like, fuck, I'm pretty lean compared to these guys, eh? Like
Mm.
the condition's there, right? And the size is there. I don't know how I didn't place. The judge comes back, the head judge comes, pulls me aside at the end of it, and he's like, at the end of that round, he's like, dude, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't be in classic. I'm like, what do you mean I shouldn't be in classic? He's like, you're too big. He goes, you're a bodybuilder. I'm like,
Mm.
what do you mean? Like, I'm too big.
Yeah.
Nationals, I was too small, like nowhere near big enough.
Mm.
Now you're telling me I'm too big and I'm too striated because you've got some striations in your glutes. I said, isn't that what you're meant to have? Like, isn't that a good thing? He's like, not for us. He goes, no, you're too big and you're too lean. You should jump in bodybuilding. I said,
Mm.
dude, I'm not a bodybuilder. Don't like. He goes, well, if you go into the next round, which was novice, oh sorry, open classic. He's like, we're not going to place you. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so what am I wasting my time here for?
Mm.
And he's like, I'm sorry, that's the way we judge here compared to IFBB. It's different.
Yeah.
So they're going for the traditional classic look, right?
Yeah.
A bit more watery, a bit more round, you know,
Yeah.
and that's fair enough, right? And then he's like, I highly recommend you go into open bodybuilding. And I'm like,
Mm.
dude, I don't know the poses. It's not for another 3, 4 hours. I haven't got enough food
I
left.
think there's only one difference between the back pose, but I think NABBA do all of them the same anyway with the,
They do, but you got the
yeah,
side triceps, you got
yeah.
the rear lat spread,
It's
you've
harder
got,
to get into a slide tricep as well if you get into it properly.
I'd never done it. I
Yeah.
mucked around with it maybe once or twice with
Yeah.
Charlie Duca like
It's one of my
months ago.
favorite
And we just,
poses. I like that one. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if you know Aaron Cordina, the
No,
strength
I don't,
coach.
don't think so. Yeah.
No, so he was there. He had another client there. He's one of Luke's friends, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um, absolute legend. So he was just there backstage with me. Like, it just turned out that way that we bumped into each other. He had another athlete there, which was a chick. Romix, what's her name? She's been on your podcast. Romix
Romy,
Fitness. Romix Fitness. Yeah.
Romy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she was on your
Yeah.
podcast. So
Romy.
that's
Yeah.
he's
Last week.
her,
Yeah.
her coach, right?
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
he was there amping me up. He's like, dude, you should do it. If the head judge is telling you to do it, you do it. I'm like, man, I'm pretty cooked.
Mm.
It's 5 p.m. My kids are sick. They're in the crowd. They need to go home. It's Sunday night.
Yeah.
And he's like, so he taught me a couple of poses backstage and we jumped up
Yeah.
and we did
I
it.
see. I
And we,
seen that. I seen that in the live because I was watching the live, and he was there doing the poses for it, and you were watching him do. I was watching you do it, and he was like full on guiding you through all these extra ones, and you were nailing them as he was doing. I seen that. That was cool. Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
funny because, I mean, it wasn't a big turnout in
Yeah.
my class. It was only three or four of us and
Yeah.
we ended up winning it. So
Nice.
you
Congrats.
don't know unless thank you, man.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, that's the difference in judging. Like what IFBB classes as classic versus NABBA, two completely different things. And it's respect to both of them. Like they've obviously got their take on it. Um, now I know, right? Like
Yeah.
depends on what kind of condition you're chasing. You just choose what class you want to go in. And I gave him that feedback. I'm like, you got to be very clear about this because guys that want to do both can't really do
Mm.
both now. It's a two,
Yeah.
and if they're close to each other, the shows, it's kind of hard to enter both.
Yeah.
I like the
That's
fact that there's no weight cap, but at the same time,
it hinders you. There's no weight cap because they want you to come in a bit smaller. I think it could be wrong though, but like it depends. You know how that V taper maybe presents more on stage because I think if most of them classic golden era's got it. The V taper, what is it like a 1.17.5 like in the taper. So
the ratio, wow.
yeah, yeah. Usually that's what they're that's for the golden era taper anyway. Been doing
Yeah.
research on that thing.
I don't know, man. So let's
Yeah,
see what happens. I'm just, yeah, I just got to put on some size and see if we can even make the cap for IFBB next year. And let's see when the NABBA schedule is, because I wouldn't mind doing both again,
yeah. Because
depending on when.
you weren't far off. You were only about. You should gain that 5 or 6 kilo. You were about 5 kilo off, if I remember right, around the 5 or 6, wasn't it? Off from your weight cap from IFBB. So you might
Yeah, but
have.
I undercooked it.
Yeah,
I don't want to go in that light again, man. Like,
yeah,
I don't think I did myself any favors
yeah.
by coming
So
in that under,
yeah. So what I meant is, I think
especially.
that you might have trouble holding that thing. This one, especially you get another off season. Just by what you've told me and how you've improved already, I probably think this season you're going to grow a lot more. If you get me, that's what I was getting at.
Well, I
Yeah,
kept the
yeah,
pets real low. for the last 2 years, to be honest with you. Like really low, like just above
They're,
TRT.
they're, they're not important. Food, food. Get the
Food,
food
man.
in, man. Yeah,
Food, bro. It's
yeah,
both, right? Like it's I'd say it's 80% nutrition, right?
yeah.
Um, you know what? I'd say it's 75% nutrition, 20% rest, 5% pets. Straight out.
Cardio too. Yeah, cardio
But
too.
that's yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and the training obviously has got to go in
yeah,
there. So maybe we yeah. But
yeah,
I'm going to give it a solid crack this off season, like a
yeah.
proper crack.
So you're going to
That's
go
a
for
good six
season
months.
A or you're going to go for season B?
I'd probably say season 8,
Season A. First
just with
thing,
my work schedule.
yeah.
I don't know.
Summer,
We'll see how we go. I've got a few
summer works
things
better.
happening in my own work schedule and stuff like that. If I can sit out season A and keep growing through summer and um,
See how you
then
respond.
pull back.
Time then how your body reacts. It will work more
Yeah,
efficient then. You'll
yeah,
know in
yeah.
yourself how you feel, if you know what I mean.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
This is
Let's
hard.
see.
Sometimes you'll get in the trap. You've already been that lean, so you won't have an eventful, bigger off season because you won't want to get a little bit out of shape, if you get what I mean. But there's a
To be
point
honest with
between you
you,
put too much and you don't want too much either. So there's a nice medium there. Yeah.
that's I got asked. I got asked the other day, what was the hardest part of coming out of this prep? And the part I struggle with is exactly what you just said, right?
Yeah.
I had
Because you've seen it.
coming into the comp, yeah,
Mm.
coming into the comp, I was like, obviously getting hungry and saving all these things on Instagram, and I want to eat this after it, and I want to eat that after it, and I can't wait to go eat this
That goes
burger and that.
away. That
Mate,
goes
as
away
soon
quick.
as I finished the
Yeah.
comp, I went to the pizza shop. Obviously, my mate's got a
Yeah.
pizza shop down the road. We had a pizza with the family, and then the next day, I was like, all right, let's go train again. And I was just like, I shouldn't be doing this because I just put my body through torture for the
Mm.
last 4 weeks.
At least a month
And
or
then,
3 months off.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then I didn't want to eat anything because I didn't want to lose the condition. I had a problem with food. I was like, back to dieting, back to steps. And I was like, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And why don't I want to eat? I didn't want to
You
lose
don't
my
want to lose your
condition.
body. Yeah, that's the hard battle you got to get. You just got to turn it off and like let's punch back up to 12 or 10 and then bring
Yeah.
it back down from there. Yeah.
And then Luke's like, dude, you need to get your body fat up. You're not healthy right now. Your kidneys are probably cooked. Your liver's probably cooked. You're not going to sleep if you're this lean. And I had to bring myself to eat. It took me until probably last week to really snap out of that, bro. You got to get fat, like you got to put some body fat on. And I have now. And that's why the
100%.
sleep's improved.
Good work. We've got less than 1 minute left. It's going to cut out on
Okay,
us. But
cool,
it was an
man.
awesome
That went
episode.
quick.
We appreciate you. We had good banter between each of us. It was an
That's good,
awesome
man.
episode. I thought it was great. Hopefully, we can get you on the upcoming episodes when we do moving forward, where we have a panel and we have a chat between a few of us or
Yeah,
something
man.
at a later date
100%.
when the time suits better. When we do start that, when we run a few of these out. But yeah,
Yep.
really appreciate your time and keep up the good work. Just grind down. You know what you got to do. You've done it and you've done
Thanks,
well. So
man.
appreciate you coming on. Thank you very
Appreciate you having
much.
me on, man.
Yeah.
Looking
No worries.
forward to the next one.
Yeah,
Cheers, mate.
100%. No worries. Thanks, mate.
See
Bye.
ya. Bye.